When I interviewed Martin Shaw and Mary Calder for Democratiya, they made the same point. Given current technologies and the nature of the threat, the old models of force projection, armies waging wars, they suggest, must be folded into a new human security doctrine, such as Mary Calder's been working with Javier Solana, the EU's High Representative. Our dilemma, and I think it really is a dilemma with no easy answers, is to promote non-violent cultures and a wider human security while meeting our needs for self-defense and, as Lorenzo did, our duty to rescue. And all this in a situation where both goodwill and trust is in short supply. Levi can help us, I think, not with this or that policy decision, but to think through that dilemma. This is another aspect of the armour we need to wear, he said. Putting cruelty first. He's trying to tell us that perhaps our value structure should change in light of the totalitarian experience. Some will prefer to say our ordering of the virtues should change. In short, we should put cruelty first, by which I mean treating it as the worst of the vices, the worst that we do, the thing most to be avoided. And from the totalitarian experience of cruelty and pain, Levi and others have drawn a kind of Kantian categorical imperative, in other words, a secular commandment, a rule we must never break. And here we see it, which is, it is the difficult task of every man to diminish as much as he can the tremendous bulk of this substance which contaminates every life, pain in all its forms. Okay, the last part of the armature we need is democracy. This is a photograph of myself with Hadi Salah's wife, widow, career seller, in the launch of the book in the House of Commons. The most proud moment of my entire career as a writer was when I met Hadi, and she said that by writing the story of her murdered husband and of his comrades, which I did with my friend Abdullah Mohsin, I was now, she said, part of the family. And tonight is also for Korea. Hadi was sentenced to death by Saddam in 1969 for the crime of independent labour activities. He was tortured and held on death row for 5 years. So I think Hadi knew only too well what Primo Levi meant when he said, we need democracy because we human beings can't really cope with power. Power is like a drug, we need ever larger doses, and soon enough we get a syndrome, he said, and he described it. See if you can recognise this in any politicians. A distorted view of the world, dogmatic arrogance, need for adulation, convulsive clinging to the levers of command, and contempt for the law. The point is not that democracies do not produce such politicians. Levi is telling us any society will. The point is that only in a democracy can we get rid of them without violence. Levi offers an evidence-based defense of democracy. We should promote it because experience shows it works better than any other system, and not least in putting cruelty first. Rummel's study of political killing in the 20th century proved that democracy is the least worst system because it's least likely to engage in genocide. The Indian Nobel Prize winner Amartya Sen has proved the same thing is true of famine. There is a quite extraordinarily strong negative correlation between whether a country is a democracy and whether it suffers famine, even when you hold other factors constant. But democracy for Levi is not just about elections, another lesson we're relearning today. Elections are part of democracy for sure, but so are security and the rule of law. Where law turns out to be lacking, the law of the jungle is established, warns Levi. And that warning is, I suggest to you, something of an advance on Donald Rumsfeld's Stuff Happens. Freedom of communication is another part of democracy, as without it, Levi tells us, all other liberties soon vanish. So Levi was a democracy promoter, yes, but his very chastened view of us would never have allowed him to think that to topple the dictator was mission accomplished. Part 3, last part. I said Levi offered a warning, a hope, and an invitation. So here's the invitation. He invites us to rejoice in all the small things in life. As Christopher Hitchens says, just because we've looked into the abyss doesn't mean we have to live on its edge. There's another wise man, my partner's late father, John Williams, who used to tell Debbie to smell the flowers along the way. Now, the Taliban, representatives of that form of totalitarianism that's arisen on our watch, notoriously banned dancing and music and stopped football, turning Kabul football stadium into a place where you could watch girls getting flayed for this, that and the other. The girls play football in the stadium now, by the way.